just giving value for like 30 days. And then I was like, okay, what if I do a 30-day series, make like 30 reels on the key things that I would want to know if I was starting out
Yeah. Yeah.
with content in general, right? So I made like a full plan for 30 days, 30 scripts, and I filmed like 10 at a time and I posted them. And I was on 2,000 followers. By the end of April, I was on like 16,000. So I was like, it was one of those things where like 30 days literally changed everything.
You're listening to Co-Talks, conversations for the considered. A slower conversation with founders, creatives, and people building life and business with more intention for people and planet. I'm Becca Bolton. Grab a chai, coffee, matcha, or wine. Let's yarn.
Yash, hi. Hello.
Hey, Beck, how you going?
I'm good. It's so nice to catch up with you. I mean, it's kind of funny being on a podcast right now. How are you? How have you been?
I'm good. I'm good. Back in London right now. Officially moved over here. So just still getting used to it, but I'm excited. I'm excited for this next chapter for me.
It's a
And
huge link.
yourself?
Yeah, I'm actually like grounded for like a month. I'm not living out of a backpack for a change. But yeah, no, I'm well. Yeah, but honestly, this is crazy because the last time I spoke to you a couple of months ago, you were talking about your vision to go to the UK. And now our next conversation, here you are. But that happened a lot quicker than what was originally planned.
Yeah, crazy, right? Like I remember when I spoke to you, I was here for just to like see if I would like it and see what the opportunity would be like.
Mm.
I think that would have been like Feb. And yeah, fast forward now, I did go back to Sydney. I obviously thought about everything and decided to make the leap. And yeah, now we're here in London
It's so
and
amazing.
yeah, just starting this new journey.
Yeah, you've been on quite a few journeys, and I'm excited to chat about that and dive into it a little bit more. For everyone that doesn't know, Yash and I went to school together, and we just kind of reconnected. I mean, as everyone always does, like keeps us like a friend on social media, and everyone kind of knows what people are up to. And so when I saw that you were kind of doing these hustles and just like testing out the waters in so many different ways, I was like, hell yeah, Yash. And I felt much that I could like relate through your social media, and you started to explain and share your journey with everybody, which has all led to what you're doing now. So can you tell us a little bit about your corporate job, why you quit, when you quit, and how you're doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's pretty crazy to think like, yeah, me and Beck, we did go to school together.
Yeah,
And I can't believe it's been so long, honestly.
I know. I
But
don't even want to
yeah,
say years.
it's been a long time, but it's good that everyone's still like kind of. That's the great thing about social media. It's like even though it was so long ago, you can still keep in touch and see what everyone else is up to. So that's really really cool. But in terms of me, like so I went to the traditional route after HC, like high school. I got my degree, which I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was in school. So I was like, okay, like I'll just get a degree because obviously my parents also, being Indian background, they were like, hey, probably the best thing to do. So I went to uni. I did information systems at UNSW, and I didn't think much of it at the time. I just knew that I wanted to get like a corporate job,
Mm.
and I did get that job. So I did a few internships and like I worked at like some pretty good companies. Like I worked at Deloitte, I worked at AMP, Fujitsu, Qantas. So I kind of did pretty good in
You
the
ticked
corporate
the
ladder.
boxes, right?
So yeah, I ticked all the boxes. I did that for almost 3 years, I believe, and it was really good. Like I didn't hate it. Let's just say that
Okay.
it was one of those things where I did it, but I was like, like I was getting paid like a pretty good amount as well. But I just always had this feeling like this can't be it. Like this can't be like what I just do for the next like 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
climb up this ladder, obviously make more money. But then I was always like, okay, like what else can I be doing? Like, can I be investing? Should I be buying properties? And I was always intrigued by like people doing these things on the side or like, and I always was interested in fitness. So I would watch a lot of like YouTubers, and that's how I started like my fitness and my gym journey. And then I would see like that all these guys on YouTube, they were all like just working for themselves. And I think that sparked something in me to like start looking at things and
Mm.
start looking at content.
Yeah, looking at
So
life a little bit
yeah,
differently. I do wanna know though, like, obviously you were still enjoying your job and everything, but were you happy?
I would say like there was always a part of me that was like unfulfilled.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it was like directly unhappy, but it was like there was just a feeling that I had, which was like, this is not my potential. I'm
Yeah.
Like there was just like an uncomfortable feeling of every day waking up, and like I used to catch the bus to go to the city from like the hills, right?
Yeah.
And every morning I was like, like this is not what I like grew up wanting to like do. And like, I always felt like there would be more to life and like more things to do. So there was just this uneasy feeling or like feeling of unfulfillment, I would say,
Yeah. Unfulfillment.
that
Yeah.
kept leading me to explore new things. And I think that's where it all really stemmed from.
Mm.
And I'm someone who gets like, I get inspired really easily. So I get inspired by like people that are doing well or people that are doing things that I want to be doing.
Living life
Yeah.
to the fullest, right? Doing
Yeah.
something a little bit more and questioning and being a bit more curious.
Exactly. That's always been me. Like now that I think about it, even like back in school and stuff like that, I would always be that person who would like try and do something a little bit different. Like for example, if everyone did like this thing, I would ask myself, okay, like how do I be different in this situation? Like could I choose a different color? Or like just small things like that. And I think that is like a part of my personality now. And I'm also like a pretty obsessive person. So if I do put my mind on something, I like go all in. And sometimes it's not necessarily a good thing, but I think those are like some personality traits that I also feel like influenced me or like the things I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Whether, those are traits that you love, that you don't like, they're the silver lining to where you are now and the like personality traits that you needed to be that sort of person to get to where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So back then it was like, okay, I would say I could even see it starting like from a young age, like when I was playing like soccer or cricket, like I wanted to be really good at those sports. So I like went all in and I'm sure, like back in school, like we used to like play cricket and like PE and like all of this. And then that transitioned into trying to get the specific ATAR to go to a uni. So I went all in on studying to make sure I could get like a over 90 ATAR and all of that to get into UNSW. And then that transitions into another thing, which was like fitness and like
Yeah.
content and things like that. So it was always like some sort of obsessive trait that like led me to like pursue things all in and not just like half-ass things. So yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
And so your fitness journey, because I started seeing a lot of your content, like you were inspired by the YouTubers and then you started taking your own content and fitness journey. Did you start your own fitness sportswear brand? Is that something that you did?
Yeah, I did do that.
Yeah, that's right. The
Yeah, so
content's stuck in my mind.
we've been on quite a few journeys. So at the time, like this was when I was in corporate still. I really got into like that, like fitness in terms of like the gym and just trying to look better. So I would watch a lot of YouTubers and I was like, these guys are all filming themselves and posting it online. I wasn't confident enough to post it online, but I actually, that was my first time buying a camera because I was like, okay, I just want to document my fitness. Whether I post it or not, like I'll decide later, but I was like, hey, let me just like film these videos and see what it's like to actually create a video. And this would have been back in like maybe 2015, 2016.
What a good
So
purchase.
yeah, that would have been like the first time I tried to do something with a camera.
Yeah. And you're bloody good at it as well. Like, fast forward to now, holy crap.
Yeah.
I remember you were getting into the DJI as well, like drone footage. It was quite
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, that was another journey in itself, like getting into drones and FPV and, now that I think about it, a lot has happened in the last 10 years.
Yeah, but it's just linking back to your drive of like being curious and wanting to do more, which I see as a very common thread between a lot of entrepreneurs. Maybe what they set out to do in the beginning isn't what always sticks, but it always leads you somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like back then, if you asked me, this is what I would be doing now, 10 years later, there was zero chance. Like I thought I would have been a fitness YouTuber.
Yeah.
Like that's how this journey started. And then now it's come to a point where like, I'm coaching fitness YouTubers, but I'm not necessarily one myself.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about, because obviously like I know what you do, but can you tell everyone that's listening a little bit about your coaching and what you're doing in that space?
Yeah. So essentially, I am a creative director. So I'm a creative director for Sue, who's got a pretty big business and personal brand at the moment, and he's based in the UK. So that's one of the reasons I'm here. And essentially, what I do is I help founders build out their content system to allow for them to execute a personal brand while they can still be focusing on the business and what moves the needle forward. So how can they actually build out a content team, and how can this team make sure content is going out, it's resonating with the audience, and is bringing in qualified leads for their
Mhm.
offers. So this is what we focus on. And I also coach, people one-on-one on how they can actually like get better at content, build their personal brand, and also learn the art of creative direction so they can be more of an asset to the founders that they're working with. So it's kind of broad, but I would say my skill
It's all
set lies in
connected.
like, yeah, it's all connected. It's like making sure from a founder's perspective that they can have a content team that knows what they're doing. And then from an actual founder perspective to make sure they're understanding that process as well.
And your journey of being a founder has been able to give you the tools to be able to coach people one-on-one with that skill. So anyone that's listening, if you need a coach and help with social media, Yash is your guy.
Yeah.
And from an art direction point of view as well, like that's where your photography and your content creation from like your fitness to now like drones, everything has just like come through. And you have such a beautiful eye to how to make and craft things to be very cinematic and engaging. I mean, I know every time I see something pop up on my feed from you, I'm like absolutely hooked in less than the 3
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, yeah. I think that stems from, the all those years of like doing cinematography, photography, flying drones, being part of campaigns, and really like making things look good was a strong suit of mine. So I
Yeah.
think that now that stems into just my day-to-day content as well. Like I would
Yeah.
say even if it's just a simple thing where I'm just like pulling up a camera and like just saying a few words, I try and make it like, look as aesthetically as it can. I think that's just something I've always done and like my style of like art. So yeah, I guess the thing is when I brought that, which you see a lot in like the movies and like that world, when I brought that into business, everyone's just like, wow, because you don't see that in business. In business, they just want to get the information across. But for me, I always took an approach where, why can't it just look like more
Beautiful.
cinematic and more like a
Yeah.
movie?
I mean, everyone loves watching a movie, right? So why not
Yeah.
make this content sexy and make everyone want to watch it as well?
Exactly. So that was something that was like unique that I found even when I was back in Sydney doing like a full year of just one-on-one coaching with founders. I had this like onboarding form and I asked them a bunch of questions of like why they actually chose to work with me. And one of the main reasons was like what you said, like every time they saw the content, they felt like it was like very, very pleasing to watch and they wanted to replicate that kind of feel.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I
Yeah.
love seeing pop up on my feed with your work. It's just, it draws you in and it's just nice to like absorb business related content, but in a nice setting. You make it look so effortless, but I know that there's a lot that goes behind it.
There's a lot. It's still hard. I'm telling you, it's still hard.
Yeah, watch me edit this podcast. It's not going to be like a movie. Thankfully, I've got some AI support. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, obviously, you're great at what you do. How did you continually back yourself throughout this journey? I mean, you've gone through like multiple transitions and different kind of sub brands. Were there any challenges that you faced? Were there any, like emotional times that you had to kind of work through and build up resilience?
Of course, like it's been quite the journey. I'll say that for sure. There's been many moments where I wanted to quit, many moments where I thought about just like, is it worth it? Uncertainty. You were right. Like you do have to have a certain level of like being delusional.
Yes.
And I would say that first ever moment would have been quitting the corporate job. So this would have been like 2019, I believe, the first time I quit like the full on corporate journey. And there came a point where there was a decision of, stay with the corporate job and then just try photography and videography on the side. Or I got an opportunity to quit the corporate job and take on another 9 to 5, but the 9 to 5 was in content, right? Content. So the thing was it was less pay as well. So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, so I'm quitting. I'm leaving the corporate world. So I no longer will have this experience. Like I can't progress here. So if I want to come back a year later, it's going to be much harder because I've just been out of the scene. I don't know what's happening. And then, I'm going into a different industry that I don't know. I've only really been using cameras properly for like 6 months or so. And then,
Risky.
yeah, yeah, it was risky because it was like, it's not just the money side of things that were risky. It was like, this is changing a lot. This is changing like the future.
Yeah, your whole career path. I'm like, that's not what
Yeah.
you did for that ATAR above 90 to get into UNSW.
Yeah. So the last 5 years was like all around like this area. And I was like, okay, I'm like leaving this last 5 years of work behind from HSC to the degree to all the companies that I actually like built up. And then there was always something in me that was like, I'm always like, I always just say, fuck it.
Yeah.
right? Like I'll figure it out. Like that's just something
Yeah.
that I've had. Like, okay, I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen if this goes bad? Is like I've always had this weird like self-belief where I was like, you know what, I'll figure it out. Like I'm competent enough to either get another job that's lower and then work my way up again. Like I've always had this like self-belief in me. So I decided to just make the switch, and I took on that content creation role, and I learned a lot in that role. And that's when I really got open to like the freelance world of like I had more freedom to post on YouTube, on Instagram, and I had this like 9 to 5 consistency, but then I was still open to freelancing as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
then that opened up like this a whole nother world for me. I got to meet new people. I got to really get better. Be involved in like bigger projects and opportunities, and that really went on for I would say like a solid 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, wow.
That path of like working for media agencies, working for gyms, doing content, and freelancing on the side, and like building my. Actually, at this point, there was no personal brand.
Okay.
I would say there was no real personal brand because I would post inconsistently. Like I would post my work here and there, like photo dumps, carousels. There was a period where I did go hard on YouTube for like maybe like 6 months, and then I just got so busy with the work, like client work,
Yeah.
that
That has to kinda
I,
drop
I
off, right?
yeah, like I think I got my Instagram to like 2,000 followers, and then I got my YouTube to like 2,000 subscribers. And then
That's
it
still
kind of
pretty good.
just, yeah. So I was like, I built it up to like 2K, 2K. And then I got so involved in the work and the projects that I just didn't post. I was just like, but I was always getting better. I was
Yeah.
always getting better at my craft and working and helping clients and trying to figure things out.
Mm.
And around this time was when, the whole startup and fitness apparel and all of that happened. We can get into that if you want. But basically, that was a moment of the first moment of uncertainty. Then we faced another like 2, 3 moments throughout the years. I would say even this year, honestly, like this move, it was
Mm.
even after being through it so many times,
Yeah.
it's still a moment of uncertainty.
Of course. It's always that, like, gut feeling that you get, but in the end, there's something in you, there's that, like, drive for more, that intuition that you just have to say, "Fuck it," and just do it.
Yeah. I've
Did
always
it
just
ever
had that.
Yeah, did it ever feel in that kinda time period from quitting corporate to where you are now, did any, like, imposter syndrome come up for you?
Yeah, 100%. For sure. Like even with, I would say like back then, because I felt it was okay because I was new to the game of like
Mm.
content, and I was like open to doing, at the start, I actually did quite a few jobs for free
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, I just need to get better before I can charge. And then I remember like there was videos where I charged like $50, or like, there was projects like that where I was charging like
Yeah.
$50, $100. And I always felt like, no, I'm not good. Like I'm not good enough to charge more than that because I only just started this thing.
Mm.
And then eventually, like over the years, I was like, okay, like I actually have all these clients that I can, like all this work that I have to show, like I can charge more. But that period, there was always a part of like a feeling of imposter syndrome.
And a lot of
And
founders can
yeah,
relate to that, because a lot of freelancers do that. They do a lot of pro bono work to start with, but it's like, at what point do you stop doing the free work, or at what point do you increase your rates? And specifically the creative industry, we get challenged for
mm,
what we charge. People just think it's okay to barter, it's okay to negotiate a rate. But yeah, that's a big struggle for a lot of creatives or a lot of founders being like, actually, no, I do know my shit, and actually reflecting on the past and being like, oh, I actually know what I'm talking about. I've actually got this client and I've done this project. Maybe I can charge a little bit more. And a lot of founders do get stuck in that space though. And it's another moment, I guess, where you just have to kind of say, fuck it and test the waters. But vice versa, it's interesting. Like if you sell yourself too low, that kind of reduces the amount of clients that you bring on too.
of course, yeah. I feel like there's two sides where it's like
Mm.
if you stack up enough proof for yourself in terms of like the work that you've done, you'll realize that that feeling will not be there, or like it'll start to go away because you have it. And most of the time, if you're having that feeling, it's probably because like there's something there that doesn't align.
Yeah.
So it's like at the start, it would have been okay, there isn't enough proof. There isn't enough to show to actually like, do this work and charge this amount. But then on the flip side, like there will be a point where you have that.
Mm.
And I think it's just important to like be really self-aware of like what you completely align with. So
Yeah.
I know there's also like a version of you that can just be like, I am confident in my abilities to do the work. And if you align with that version of yourself, then I feel like that'll help with like the imposter syndrome and the feeling of that.
Yeah,
So
it's a deep reflective process, isn't it? Like
yeah,
you've got to reflect, you've got to be honest and humble with yourself. And there's a lot of, yeah, self-awareness. There's a lot of like, we're not only rewarding IQ, we're rewarding EQ as well. And honestly, like I've said this in a couple of episodes, it's like being a founder is the biggest therapy session that you could take.
100%.
But it's, you know, the business grows with you and vice versa. Were there any periods though when you were going through this where you felt super lonely in it all and like not seen?
Yeah, I would say for sure. Like, especially like the first thing I can remember was when I first tried to make YouTube vlogs.
Mm,
Everyone around me was like not into content, right? Like I was always around my friends who, were a part of the corporate world, like just like I was. And even like family and friends and stuff like that. I was never exposed to people with content. Like maybe if you lived in the US, you would have friends who were like always doing it and you'd be like in the culture. But being in from Sydney, being from a place where no one was like doing what I wanted to do,
yeah.
especially like I knew a few people that would like do photography and videography, but no one was like vlogging and no
No.
one was like trying to put that on YouTube, right? So that was like that first moment where I was like, talking to the camera in public felt like
Yeah.
weird and like hard. And that's like a moment where it was lonely because it was like I was trying to make these videos and put it out and everyone just was like, okay, like what is he doing kind of thing.
Yeah, there's like a little element of people having their own opinions and a bit of judgment. I mean, like
Yeah.
when TikTok, you know, became a thing in Australia, everyone would just see people doing TikToks and have such a judgment, being like, but now people are like, oh wow, people can actually like have a great life from doing that. How
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, exactly. So that was definitely something. And
Mm,
I would see the people around me, like obviously climb up the corporate ladder, maybe get properties and stuff like that. And
yeah.
I took such a big financial hit by doing this in terms of, not, okay, yeah, lower income, but also like no consistent income.
Yeah.
So that was another thing of like feeling like a bit like an outsider because it's like, okay, everyone is just like doing the normal thing, living like a good life. Whereas like for me, it was like, okay, I can't even do that now because it's like
Yeah.
you can't, like you're literally like
Okay.
trying to figure out how much you're going to get paid the next month or the month after could be completely different. So those two things kind of like, yeah, I would say where there were moments where it was like, oh, like I'm the only one in this, like there's no one else doing it. And
What
I
got
had
you
to
through
like,
that?
yeah, I guess like what got me through that was self-belief, honestly. It was like just like believing in myself enough to be like, there is no way if I put in 120% effort into this thing, there's no way that like it won't work. And that is where like that delusion and like being a founder and like I feel like that you need to have that to a certain extent because it's never going to be certain, right? But you have to like believe enough that it will be. And for me, I think it did stem a lot from like the fitness side and like looking at other people that I wanted to be like or like looked up to and their mindsets helped me feel less lonely because I
Yeah.
was like, okay, if I can't get it in real life, I can watch people online who are doing it and relate to them. And
Mm,
then that kind of fueled the self-belief and was like, it's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what helped me really get through it. It was like looking at content,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Content that suits your vision, right? Not
Yeah.
comparison. Like seeing someone's engagement ring, seeing someone's house that they've just bought, the new puppy, the like
Yeah.
pregnancy photo. It was content that was helping you direct your life and reassure you like you were on the right path. That's the algorithm you want. And it's clearly like proved to be very successful. And I mean, self belief has gotten you now to like 40K, 40 something followers. How did you get there? And did it happen quickly? Was it slow? Yeah. How did it go from being in like a completely alienating space where you're just on your own to now having like 40,000 eyes on you?
Yeah, it was actually, I would say a lot has happened in the last 12 months. So,
Mm,
like I said, I was always working really hard. I was always getting better, but never documented it from a personal brand perspective. Because the thing is, for me, I was always the person behind the camera.
yeah.
So I was always the person doing the creative direction, doing the coaching, doing the vision, the strategy, and all of this, right? And I just never had the time or, never had the focus to show that online because I was so involved in that. And then this is probably the last turning point that I had was leaving the fitness startup.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that would have been like March last year.
Okay. Wow.
So March last year, I was involved in the fitness startup. There was three founders essentially.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I was one of the founders. So I decided to leave just because I was doing it for, I believe, like almost 3 years. And it was really cool. Like, I learned a lot about business. I would say that's where like the real business side of things came in. But I did feel it got to a point where I had that feeling again, where I was like, okay, there's like even more than this,
Yeah.
right? There's
Yeah.
something, and I couldn't ignore that feeling. And I guess also the fact that there was a lot of variables that weren't in my control because there was two other founders. So that was something that also started to come into my mind. So you know what? I had this moment where I was like, okay, this is a big decision to leave because it's something that we've built up over like almost 3 years. And decided to make that decision. And then when I made that decision, I realized that I had all these skills,
Yeah.
but no one really knew. Like, unless you were following me for the last 10 years out of
Mm.
those 2,000 followers, no one knew, right?
Yeah.
And I was so involved in this area of like startup and creative direction that I was always following people who were documenting the journey.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I was like, I really wish I had like posted like
Done
all these
there.
cool things that I did.
Yeah.
I posted like, but never in a way that it would like grow.
Yeah. It wasn't like consistent.
It wasn't consistent enough. So then I kind of had a few weeks where I was just sitting at home. I decided not to get involved in anything. I had freelance clients and I could always get freelance clients from just word of mouth and like the people that I've worked with. So it wasn't like too stressful, but
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this next chapter has to be around my personal brand. Cause I was like, I'm at a point now. I always say this, but the best personal brands often come from having done the thing, right? So there's like a journey personal brand and then there's like the expert personal brand, which is what I say. So I felt like I was in a point where I could build an expert personal brand because I've got like now 10 years of experience doing this thing. So I didn't know where to start and I had 2,000 followers and I was like, okay, let's just start posting. So I made a few videos about like leaving the fitness startup and now I want to share my knowledge with all of you guys. So I posted like a few, maybe like 5, 6 videos and people started to like message me being like, yo, this is sick. Like keen to see like more of what you post. And then I really was like, I want to like fast track this because I just missed out on so many years of not doing this because now people
Like
are
you're
like
like,
so keen to watch it. So what can I do? What can I do? And I was just in my room thinking and I was like, okay, how about I saw someone post on Instagram that they were doing a series
mm,
where they were just giving value for like 30 days. And then I was like, okay, what if I do a 30-day series from, I think it was like April 1st to like end of April. I was like, I'll do a 30-day series and I'll just make like 30 reels on the key things that I would want to know if I was starting out
yeah. Yeah.
with content in general, right? So I made like a full plan for 30 days, 30 scripts, and I filmed like 10 at a time and I posted them. And I was on 2,000 followers. By the end of April, I was on like 16,000. So I was like, it was one of those things where like 30 days literally changed everything
Yeah.
by just sharing 30 days of knowledge. And it was crazy to me because I was like, did I just like fast track the last few years of like social media in like a month?
Yeah. You didn't.
And yeah, and then I was like, okay, like let me double down on this. I kept posting, over the 6-month time span, we grew to like 30K
Yeah.
followers, people messaging me, paying me for like consultations. And like all of this just kind of stemmed from there. And I realized that it was just because I had, the experience. It wasn't something that was like a fluke. It was just like real life experience shared online and that started to gain an audience.
Yeah. It was like
So I would
muscle
say,
memory.
yeah, so that's essentially what happened. And that led to digital products, coaching, then like exploring different opportunities, but all just by having an audience, honestly.
Mm. From this
Yeah.
whole journey, what keeps coming up is alignment and taking a leap and like listening to your gut and knowing when you need to shift something. And a lot of founders can probably like resonate with that because there's always going to be fear. And a lot of people are sold this, Australian dream where you can get that corporate job that's stable and comfortable. But realistically, you could get fired any day. You could get made redundant. And so it's nice just to see someone like yourself as proof, as evidence, and hopefully, reassurance to anyone listening that's wanting to start up or is starting up or isn't quite ready to pivot, just to take the leap and actually listen to yourself and back yourself and remind yourself that you do have the tools to do what you want to do. Because yeah, that wasn't your plan, but the moment that you actually just like channeled into what you wanted to do and what your passion was, now you're living the life that you want to lead.
Yeah, it's actually it's crazy to think. And if I'd like stayed in, the startup and freelancing and didn't post content, like, maybe things would have worked out there as well. But I would have never known what this feeling like led to, right?
Yeah.
So most of the time, that if I can boil it down to like the last 10 years, when there was a feeling of like staying comfortable and uncomfortable, it was always the uncomfortable decision that I took, because something inside me just felt like it would, like, even if it didn't work out, like I would know.
Hmm.
But every time I did that, the uncomfortable one, it like somehow ended up working and like leading me to a new path or new area. And that's the kind of journey I'm on now. So even like coming to the UK was uncomfortable. So I could have stayed in Sydney, kept doing the coaching and building the brand there. And the uncomfortable decision was to come to UK, start again in terms of like a city, friends, and, you know, trying to do this. But then I was like, you know what? Like, then I'll never know. So I was like, let's just fuck it.
Yeah. Fuck it. We need to get some caps made that say fuck it on it.
Yeah, literally.
It's the new Nike slogan.
Yeah. And if there's one thing I can say, it's like it is something that is scary, because
Mm.
like some people think that the reason he's able to do that is because maybe he had like financial support to like do these things. It was never the case. Like every single time I had to like make the money. There's times where I've been broke. There's times where I had to like figure things out. And I think that's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
That's all the part of like entrepreneurship, taking risks and doing things on your own. Is like, of course it's easy to just get a job and then, get a certain amount every month. But the flip side is you won't get that, but then you can also make a lot more and you can also have the freedom.
And the freedom. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's something that I want to say, because yeah, it was always moments where it's like, yo, like this month we could literally make like nothing at all.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But that's the risk you're
Yeah.
willing to take. And oftentimes as well, like with my business, I've been like, "Oh, this is just so risky. I'm not on the path that everyone else is on." But then about the other way around, being like working under somebody else's terms, not having the freedom to literally work from wherever I want, whenever I want. I just like, I couldn't do the other way around anymore. Like, but it is risky, right? But you just need to keep carrying that belief through and listen to your gut and take the uncomfortable route. From experience as well, my life has completely changed in the last year from saying yes to the uncomfortable experience. And it just leads you on a path where you're meant to go. The moment you let go of like the control, like that 5-year plan that you had, you kind of just drop it all and you're like, okay, let's see what's coming to me. And like, if you have the belief, if you have the good intentions, if you put the 120% in, it pays off in the end. And I love that, and this is something that like entrepreneurs will always do. We'll always kind of keep trying to like discover more. And so
Mm.
taking this like leap to the UK, although it was uncomfortable and you were leaving a lot of like your life in Sydney behind, there was a reason for that. And there is something important about place and where you are living and where you like surround yourself. And, the moment like you step somewhere new as that version of yourself, you start to like be a magnet to attract like the people that you're supposed to meet, which wouldn't necessarily be happening in a place where you had lived your whole life. So
Mm.
I'm excited to like get you back on in another 6 months, in a year, and be like, all right, Yash, where are you now?
Yeah, yeah. I think that would be really cool. Like, I would say it's actually this apartment that I moved into like yesterday. It's pretty like something that I honestly feels very surreal, because I was actually telling my girlfriend yesterday, I've always just like worked very hard and never really seen the like the fruits of the labor kind of thing. It's
Mm.
always just been like always like grind, grind, grind. And moving into this apartment, like I would say it's a pretty nice apartment in Canary Wharf. On the 48th floor, you can see the whole city. And it's really like I had a moment of reflection where I was like, okay, like maybe like this is all that work over the last 10 years actually puts me in a position where I can actually even afford a place like this now.
Yeah.
So it's like there's always, I would say, light at the end of the tunnel, whether it's now or later. It's like you'll only find out if you like try.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, no more sitting in the what if, hey.
Yeah.
None of that.
100%. And there's always gonna be a period of time where you can actually do these things. Like, your 20s, your early 30s are like the best time to go and do this. Like later on, you might have commitments, you're gonna have a family, you might have kids, but it's like even that decision now, because I'm 29 now, moving from Sydney, I was like, you know what? These next 2, 3 years are like prime.
Yeah,
So I was
best
like,
years of your life.
let's just do it.
Honestly, 30s are the new 20s.
100%. Like, I think 30 is actually like the prime. It's like everything you did in your 20s accumulates for those, like, I would say, like 30 to like 35.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to in this next chapter is like the next 5 years.
Yeah, and you touch a spot that I resonate with. It's like you do, and this is not what's shown on social media, the highlight reels of like, working in the best places in the world and like living your wonderful life. You're like on your computer in first class, whatever. But it's like you do grind. You do grind constantly. You make sacrifices with friendships, social activities, places to see, things to do, but like you're so committed to the drive of like there's something more. But it does
Mm,
get difficult at times to be like, when is this going to pay off? When am I
yeah,
actually like reap the rewards of my hard labor?
100%. Like whoever's watching, like just keep pushing and, always have that self-belief because I believe that if you're like completely like honest to yourself and you
Mm.
just put in like the work every single day, like it's always going to work. It's always
Yeah.
going to work.
And how nice is it to like carve and path a life for you that's like curated for you, full of passion rather than
Yeah,
someone else's vision? I
exactly.
wouldn't trade it
Like
for anything else.
100%. There's one thing that I always say, like even to the founders that I'm working with now, is like I would do this for free. I just
Yeah.
happen to be getting paid for it, and I've done it for free before. So it's
Yeah,
like it's so cool because it's like work for me is something that I would do for free.
exactly. And that
So that's the
is
best
the
part.
essence of life, right? It's not
Yeah,
working to live, it's living and having work fit around that, and
yeah,
if you do something that you love, you don't feel like you've worked a day in your life.
yeah.
You
So
cracked the code.
yeah, crack the code, and I'm excited for the next 10 years now to kind of see what
Yeah,
this leads to. Right?
it's gonna be epic, I know it, and,
Yeah.
let's watch your following, like, double in the next few months with good content in your new apartment.
That's what I'm looking forward to. Like, I made sure, like, yeah, because that's one thing as well. Like, traveling a lot over the last 6 months, Airbnbs, hotel hopping. It was hard to like have a consistent spot to film, like I did in Sydney.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
would say, like, I'm excited to like now have a spot to like be consistent and like get content out there.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for that as well.
The space to curate. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something that I've struggled with actually. It's because like, far out, I'm moving around, like, every few
yeah,
weeks, so, like, being able to have a consistent space is always challenging, but I'm like, "Oh, this is kinda creative, mixing it up."
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
100%. Like I've struggled with that a lot. I would say since I decided to travel since Feb. 'Cause I've always created content from, like, my studio in Sydney,
yeah,
in my house, and not
yeah,
having that has been challenging because my content is not, like, travel content. It's very,
yeah,
like, speaking to business owners and founders where you need to like, I script my videos and, like, things like that, so it was challenging, but it was also, like, a good challenge, like, I got used to being able to film in, like, different environments and, like, understanding how I can make this work, but now I'm excited to, like, have a set spot again.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. I know it's gonna be aesthetic because you're all about it, so
yeah.
if you guys haven't given Yash a follow, I'll make sure to put it in like the captions and in the description, everything like that. Give him a follow. We will all stay tuned for this sexy content that's going to come out. And yeah, it's been so great just like chatting about the highs and lows of, betting on yourself and taking a path that you may not have predicted, but listen to your heart instead. And I hope everyone feels a little less like worried about betting on themselves and actually just feels more empowered to just keep going and putting in that 120%. So thanks for sharing, such great insights and your journey and your experience. It's been such a pleasure like watching you over the years kind of come into this space that you're in now, and I hope everyone else resonates with it too.
Thanks so much, Beck. It's a pleasure being on. Appreciate you. And if you guys have any questions or you want to like, chat about your journey, always shoot me a message on Instagram or yeah, I'm sure we can have a chat about it.
Thanks so much, Yash. Enjoy your lovely day in London.
Thank you. Thank you. The weather's pretty good here. So
Yeah,
yeah.
soak up that heat wave. Yeah, it's different for London weather, I guess.
I know it's very. Yeah, I was so cold from Feb, so this feels very different, but it's nice.
Time to defrost.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, if you guys want to send Yash a message on his Insta DM, he will always be open to chat. See you, Yash. Bye.
See you back. Thank you.